All right, here we go. Welcome back to Met Audio. So thank you to Dirac Live Product Head Manager, Mr. Nilo Casimiro, that is with us today. Thank you to have the time to join us for this live streaming. As you probably know, I tested the MARANTZ Cinema 40. I did the review, and one of the main reasons that got me to purchase it and test it was because Dirac Live was one features of it, and was actually a big surprise to find that is because, as you probably know, they have already Odyssey, so it was a big surprise for all of us to see that Dirac Live was coming like second calibrations or main calibration. So maybe you want to speak a little bit, first of all, a small introductions about yourself, and then you can tell us how the collaboration with Sound United took place.
All right. Yeah, so my name is Nilo Casimiro. I'm head of, no, I'm actually not head of product. I'm a product lead for the Dirac Live product family.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm also co-founder of the company. So I've been working with Dirac since the beginning in 2001. So I've been through lots of different positions in the company. From the start, you do everything, and as time goes, the company grows and you become more and more specialized. So I'm passionate about the product itself, so that's why I'm working with product lead. And I've been all the time since I could not be involved in like managing the company itself. I've been working with R&D or product management. And that's really the things I like. Yeah, so Sound United, it goes very, very long back. But as you know, they went with Odyssey quite early, and stuck with that. And it's not until recently that we came to the agreement that there could be both. And the Dirac is a paid option. So if Sound United is giving, or actually Massimo, they changed the name now. Massimo Consumer are giving the user the option to stick with what comes with the box, or to to buy the upgrade with Dirac. So it's up to the end user.
But how you find yourself? I mean, was Massimo or Sound United that contact Dirac, or you guys propose the Dirac Live as news of the progression?
As I said, we go very long back. So even back then, when they chose to go with Odyssey, we had been in touch already. And it's been going like that all the time. So it's not like something happened suddenly. It just, I think, matured over the years. So it's been a long journey.
You have a lot of, a lot of partner in the audio consumer right now.
Yes.
Many brands. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I can't even mention all of them. It's remarkable. I'm very, very happy. Feel very fortunate to be part of so many very well-renowned brands.
Yeah, absolutely.
Globally. So we're very proud of that.
And there will be maybe in the future the possibility to see it also in other receiver like Yamaha or Sony or stuff like that.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah. I think yes.
Nothing I can comment on, unfortunately.
Okay.
But we're striving to be available everywhere. we would like it to be the option for the user to use Dirac or something else.
Okay. And for those that are just watching right now, so we have two upgrade. The first one that is already available, that is Dirac Live, and the second one that it will be available, if I'm not wrong, from starting from next year. That is base control, right?
Yeah, I think it's been announced, something like that. That it's in the pipe.
And then we have also third features, that is active room treatment, right?
Yeah,
But
that's something we are right
place.
now. That's something we're right now rolling out with together with Storm Audio as our lead partner on that, and it will be available for other OEMs also to release as of October this year.
Okay. Because this is also very interesting features. I hear that it is working like something like closer to a noise cancelling, right? Maybe you can
in a way.
tell us a little bit more about it.
Of course. So as you know, Dirac Live room correction, it's about each speaker correcting for its own impulse response, so to say. So each channel is correcting its own impulse response to restore like the early part of the impulse and compensating for early reflections and driver misalignment. But they're not, and then we can take stepwise. Then we have base control that is addressing actually room modes in a way that you, with base control, you reduce the seat to seat variation. So within the area where we have made the measurements, you capture basically the room modes that affect those positions, and we allow the subwoofers to collaborate in a way so that they sort of fill in for each other in those room modes. And that's quite advanced filtering. I mean, it's advanced in a way of it's difficult to set up manually, but the filtering itself is very simple. It's just a couple of biquad filters that is working on in the time domain. So doing phase compensation, not magnitude compensation as normal biquad filters.
What is the difference actually?
So phase compensation is working with the timing of the different frequencies. So allowing some frequencies to go ahead and others left behind, so to say, and that's in order to be able to mitigate the nulls that are created by the room modes. Room modes are basically what do you call it?
Resonance,
exactly, resonances. Due to the geometry of the room. And then we take it another step further, and that's when we come into this active room treatment. So first of all, we're letting all the speakers collaborate in the low wave frequencies to create the ideal as possible an impulse response for each of the main channels of the speakers. And when taking care of the impulse response and making that as ideal as possible, we also look at the tail after the main impulse, and ideally that should go down to like 0 after the sort of the wavefront has passed, and to get with the speakers collaborating in such a way. And if you have a multi-channel system, you would have speakers around you. You can actually do quite much with that, and that's where this active noise cancellation thing comes in. That it works like noise cancellation. So speakers would act as active reflection cancelers, you could say. So it's almost as if you would remove the walls in the room. So you don't get that. You never get the buildup of the room modes, and you don't get all the late reverberation also.
Okay. So probably more speaker you have, and better it will work, right?
Yes, it would.
Okay. Will stress a little bit more maybe the amplifications, or
the amplification?
Yeah.
Do you mean the
will
need
require
for
for this type of active room
Yeah,
treatment?
so it doesn't require anything specific in terms of amplification, because the cancellation signals that this technology is creating are quite low in amplitude relative to the desired signal. So it doesn't really require anything spectacular. And you can also have in mind that you could compare active room treatment to bass control or bass management. Bass management would basically take a full range signal and split it up between a main speaker and the subwoofer, because the main speaker maybe doesn't go all the way down in the bass.
Yeah. Small size, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas active room treatment would allow the subwoofer to play higher to begin with. At the moment, we have a limit of 150 hertz, so that's as high that we let the subwoofers play. But at the same time, the main speaker would be also allowed to play as low as it can. So they would collaborate. There would be a frequency region where they overlap, the main speakers and the subwoofers. So they would overlap, and it means that not one of the speakers has to play the whole signal itself. They're collaborating in that frequency area. And that goes for all speakers, not only for between main speakers and subwoofers, but between the main speakers. So main speakers can support each other. So the left can support the right, and the right can support the left also.
Oh, I'm curious to hear how it will sound. Yeah.
Yes.
How you guys test this stuff at Dirac headquarters? You have different home theater setups, or?
Yeah, we do. We have a couple of different rooms, a couple of labs, and also a demo room.
Okay.
So we have opportunities to play around there.
Okay, and it will make a big difference. I mean, in terms of sound quality.
Yeah, we launched it already with the Storm Audio at the CES, at Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas in January.
Okay.
Yeah, so we had a demo there and also it was together with Per Listen loudspeakers as well.
Yeah.
So it was a 5.3 system. So 5 main channels and 3 subwoofers.
Okay.
And it was really remarkable how well received it was.
Okay. So you do something like a sound test comparison, or?
Yes.
Between.
Yeah. So we compared it like manually, or not. We compared a lined system, but with no processing, just crossovers and a nice alignment, so we get the right staging and all that, and with the same tonal balance, and then with active room treatment activated, and you could really feel the reverberation in the room going away. So you will get a very clean and tight bass response.
Yeah.
And it was like you take the walls away, just as I described. You remove the room basically. So you get like the direct wave of the bass hitting you, and then it just disappears like as it should.
Because I have a full acoustic treatment that I did here, and I mean, all the room is acoustic treated, but under 50 hertz is forget about it. It's impossible, treat under 50 hertz.
I don't think you would do that big bass traps or what you would try to do with that. But we're using the speakers as absorbers, you could say, active absorbers.
This is really interesting. Okay, before to jump in some measures, I want to ask you a quick questions regarding the microphone. And now we use the Umic one that is affordable. It's a beautiful microphone. I use it most of the time with the Rumeco Wizards. That is an omnidirectional mic, right?
Yeah.
And the interesting questions is why we don't use something like binaural, for example, that is more closer to how we perceive the sounds or something like that.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think what would make that difficult is that you have the head there, and it would be difficult to know what would be the desired frequency response. Because with the head, you have this head-related transfer function, and that applies coloration to the signal. So what we're doing, the reason we're using a microphone is that we want like a free field measurement. So we don't want the head to be involved there, because when you as a listener listen to sound, sound is usually propagating in free field, but suddenly you're there to listen to it, and that would be the same situation you have at home in your listening room. So the sound should be clean from the speakers, and if you would have your head there while you're measuring, it would be very much more difficult to recreate this free field sound wave propagation.
I think the Umic one is a good mic. I use it most of the times, and it's affordable. So it is also important to let it at 90 degree, right? Because I saw people let it at 45 or 0, and
there's a slight difference in the high roll off between 90 and what you say,
90 and 0 degree.
It's a slight difference. So it's not ideally it's not an ideal omnidirectional microphone, but if you just pay attention to that, you shouldn't have a problem with it. And even though if your measurements would be slightly off, you would probably hear it and compensate for it with the target curve eventually. So the measurements are really important, but if it's a little difference in the tilt, you will probably realize that.
Okay, I think we can take a look of my measures. A quick look. I have some questions there. I will put it online.
That's always interesting, yeah.
All right. So let's come back maybe. Okay, here we have the volume calibrations, right? And I have to say that the first times I saw this page was okay, what I have to do now, but this is just for check the speakers, right? And to avoid to have clipping during the speaker measures, right?
Exactly. It looks a bit intimidating when you see it, like, wow, what
first
am
time,
I gonna do now? Yeah.
I say, what do I have to do now?
Yes, exactly.
I thought I had to adjust manually all the positions, but it's not like that. It's just a check.
When you realize that, then it's not that intimidating anymore. As you said, you just have to make sure that you don't get the clipping, and you have to make sure that you get a loud enough measurement with the microphone.
Yeah.
So you get a good signal recording.
After that, we move to select arrangement. I generally use these 9 measures positions because I'm the only one interested in the family to this stuff with sitting with me. So it's good. I don't take so much time,
Yeah, and 9 is perfectly all right in a normal room, so to say.
Then we have measures that is also really interesting to check. It's nice that you have the possibility to switch from every positions and select the positions that you want to measure. So I really like it.
Yes, that's good to hear.
And then we have the filter design. So as soon you finish with all the measures, Dirac Live will create the filters with this house curve. And the first things that I noticed it was this 4.8 plus dB on the bottom end and -1 on the treble, right? And that's also for most of the speakers. So it's not flat, but it's look like Dirac Live here is doing something. Maybe you can help me to understand what is like, what is automatic house curves, or what's happening here.
Yeah, so we analyze the measurements when
Yes.
they have been done and try to find something that would, psychoacoustically be similar to what has been measured.
Okay.
So if we find there is a lot of bass, like in your case, you have a couple of peaks and
Yeah.
also a general boost in the bass.
Yeah.
We try to keep that.
Okay.
Then, as you see, the curve goes down from like slightly below 100, and when you reach 200, it's already basically at zero dB.
Yes.
So we don't want to boost like 200 hertz, and then we want to keep it quite flat.
Okay.
Yeah, and the bass boost there, it's you call it a house curve, and that's pretty much what it is. You are of course familiar with the Harman target curve and all that.
Yeah.
And the thought of that is that you have to realize that a speaker in a room is not the same as a speaker in a free field or in an anechoic chamber.
Yep.
Anechoically, a speaker would probably be quite flat. A good speaker would be quite flat. But when you place it in a room, you have the walls that reinforce, especially the bass, and you have the room gain that helps you in the bass in the room. And you don't want to take that away, because that would sound it wouldn't sound natural. It would sound very sterile, dead, so to say. Yeah, so then it's flat. I think it's up to like 2K or something, where we start rolling off again. And again, it's based on the measurements.
Yeah. So this is based on the measures, right? It's not something that so it could be that someone else doesn't have a boost like that, right?
Exactly. Okay. So it really depends on how your system sounds to begin with. You could say we sort of assume that you've set the sound as you like it to begin with. And what Dirac Live helps you with then is to make the frequency response more smooth and also optimize the impulse response for that.
Because what I actually saw, because I compare Odyssey with Dirac Live, is that where maybe Odyssey is trying to pretty make it everything good in line flat, Dirac Live is a little bit more, let's say that is letting, I don't know, the room maybe to be natural, to not correct too much, could be. It's taking maybe
we're not trying to change too much.
Maybe,
because assuming that it is to some point to your liking. So if there is bass, we don't want to take that away, because nobody wants to get rid of the bass. So basically trying to attain a quite smooth bass response, but avoiding all the dips and peaks, and also keeping the sort of the average energy in the bass.
And here is okay. Yeah, please.
So and it also we apply this house curve. It has basically two parameters: the amount of bass and the amount of treble.
Okay.
So these are the sliders that you have. You can also switch to the advanced target editing, but usually I'm very happy with this. I never go into the advanced mode and try to fine tune things. It doesn't make sense. This is all I need. All the adjustment I need. The bass
you're right. No, me too. I don't touch too much. What I try or would like to try to see is maybe just to put everything flat, maybe to see how it sounds, but not more like of this.
Yeah, and I suppose when you put it flat, you're maybe you're not the bass head as I am.
No, I'm not.
No, okay.
I'm more more. I prefer a more flat line. Yeah, this is my let's say favorite sound tonality.
Yeah, and then you have the region in the middle, like around 500 hertz.
Yeah, a little bit pushed.
Yeah, and I think that would sound a little, I don't know, strained or something with all that boost that you have there in the original measurements. I don't know where that comes from, if it's from the speaker itself or if you have some I don't know, reflections or anything that are.
Yes, it could be reflections maybe, because I didn't cover all the first reflections, because I have windows, and I have my girlfriend. That's also really important for wife upsets and factors, and so I decided to not touch too much, because it's also a living room, not a dedicated room.
Yes.
And what I wanted to ask you, interesting, is that with bass control, because now what we do is to set by hand in manually the crossover lines, crossover settings between subwoofer and so LFE channels and the main speakers. But this, if I understood correctly, it will be done in automatic with the bass control, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So in the once you've done the calibration of all the speakers with Dirac Live, then you can of course go into the speaker settings in MARANTZ and select your crossovers, because you don't do that here in Dirac Live. You correct them for their whole natural bandwidth, so to say, and then you select the crossover in.
Was regarding this because here Dirac Live is telling us, when we start to have this roll off in the bottom end, right?
Yeah.
So for example, for this surround right is around 30 hertz or maybe more. 30 is a little bit, but something here like, so I will not cut, for example, at 50. Maybe I will cut it at 50 or 60, something like that. And interesting, we have also the impulse response. And as far I understood, maybe you can also tell me better. So here it's measuring the impulse response for every speakers, and we have a corrections. For example, in my case, these are milliseconds, right? If I'm not wrong.
Right. Yeah.
So here we are around 30 milliseconds for every speaker, right? And my questions is, why at 13? Why not, for example, at 10 or 8? Because I'm looking every speakers and they are all under 2 milliseconds, for example. Okay, subwoofer, maybe subwoofer, no.
Subwoofer more difficult.
A little bit more difficult. But why 13? Why not 12 or 10, for example? What's happening here right now?
So what you're seeing here is what we call smoothing lag in the Dirac Live filtering.
Okay.
So we have the initial part of the filter is about aligning the phase so that all the frequencies arrive at the same time in the main impulse.
Okay.
So in order to do that, we need to sort of buffer the original signal, which is on the top here, in a filter, and that filter will then collect all the frequencies to align them at the same time, and then they are let out, so to say, and that's what you see the result of here. You see the impulse is much more distinct in the lower graph than in the original top graph. So you have a very, very nice impulse response after the correction. So the original, you can see it's almost as if you have a little misalignment between the tweeter and the woofer. It's almost like the woofer comes a little early.
Yep.
in the original one at the top.
And there are other things that you can understand from the impulse response. For example, if I had, let's say, a subwoofer with a wireless subwoofer, for example, probably I will have more delay, right? It's something that I can see also from the impulse response. Is I can, for example, understand if I have too much delay or something is going wrong with the speaker or speaker position.
Yeah, so that we don't visualize here. At least I don't think so, actually. I'm not quite sure. But once you export the filter to the MARANTZ device, then you can go into the speaker settings, the setup. And if you go into the manual setup there in the MARANTZ, you will see the delays and the gains that have been assigned. Those have been calculated by the Dirac Live algorithm. And the delays that are set there are compensating if there is a variation in the distance to the between the speakers and the listening position, so that you get them aligned. So all the speakers, the sound from all the speakers reaches you at the same time.
Okay.
So the alignment together with the impulse response correction is what is restoring the imaging that you get, the sound stage. And you have a pretty big surround sound system with 4 high channels as well.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have noticed how coherent the sound stage is around you.
A lot.
You can hear sounds move. It's not like they jump from one speaker to the next. They're transitioning smoothly. And that's due to, of course, the alignment, but most of all due to the impulse response correction. So all the speakers sound the same, and therefore the panning, the phantom image between 2 speakers is working as it should.
Actually, how much important is correct speaker positions?
We're not correcting this the positions themselves. We're correcting if there is a slight variation in the distance, or if your sweet spot is not exactly in the middle between the speakers. So that's the kind of correction we're doing, plus of course the impulse response correction. So we're not doing like if you're just randomly placed your speakers, we're not doing anything like that to restore that. So the positioning of the speakers is important. It is important if you want to get a correct sound stage.
Yeah.
If you talk about subwoofers, for example, you have lots of things to read on the internet about placing subwoofers and to get the best connection with the room and maybe get some diversity so that they don't excite the same room modes and so on. You can do that, of course. And like to get the best connection between your subwoofers and your room, because the room is really, really part of this bass speaker. The room is a resonating box for your subs. So yeah, placement is important.
Absolutely. All right, and what my feeling after I ran Dirac Live was also the fact that I lost a little bit of reverberations, and the room was a little bit more dry because I have already acoustic treatment at home, and it could be that maybe Dirac Live will have a lot of benefit or more benefit with rooms that are not treated, fully treated.
You always get a benefit, and the relativeness of that is, the better room you have already, the better speakers you already have, it will be more and more subtle, the improvement. But you will, since you have done your treatment, you're knowledgeable about what you're doing, and you're aware of what you're doing, and you're aware of these fine details, and therefore you also appreciate the improvement that you can still get with Dirac Live. But I've been doing demos in so many different rooms, both from like challenging rooms that are, reverberating, very fluttering and all that, to like very well treated cinema rooms with super fine speakers and all of the best things you can wish for. And in all cases, there is still something to do with Dirac Live. There is at least a level up every time. It's that amazing. So by measuring the response, you will, with the passive treatment and what you can do, you can never get this ideal impulse response. That's something you can only get in an anechoic chamber, for example. And applying the correction in the room, you don't get the anechoic chamber, but you get something that is better than what you had before.
Yeah, I'm curious to test also the bass control and see, and to see also if the active bass control, probably I'm more interested to the active treatment, because I'm really curious to see how it works. So I hope to see it soon on MARANTZ speakers also, MARANTZ receivers, MARANTZ and DENON receivers.
And they have four independent subwoofer outputs, so it's really powerful.
Could be really powerful. Yeah, it's nice to see that they implement the 4 subwoofer. So because before this, most of the people was doing something like, for example, with mini DSCP and using the mini DSCP to manage more subwoofer. But now you can do it directly with the receivers. That's amazing.
Yes.
All right. If we don't have any questions, I want to tell you thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure.
And if you have time, we for sure will be in touch again after the bass control release that should be next year, if I'm not wrong, or beginning of next year. And to test it, I will test it, and maybe we can have again live sections.
Of course. I'll be happy to.
So I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much, Mr. Casimiro.
Thank you, Mahmoud.
Thank you.
Take care.